So I'm going to talk about driving. Learning how to drive was a really terrible, arduous experience for me. It wasn't fun. I started out when I got an automatic car and someone would actually go out driving with me. I finally went up to the MVA to take my test, and I had my learners for a long time. And I think that time I drifted through a stop sign. It was kind of a silly, dumb, I was nervous sort of thing, and I drifted through the stop sign. And the cop said, yeah, drive back to the beginning, failed, whatever. So figured, it was just sort of a last-ditch attempt because I knew my learners was going to expire, and I really didn't. I just thought I'd see if I could wing it. Couldn't. So I came back, probably didn't practice enough. Well, I definitely didn't practice enough, given what I'm about to tell you. Came back a few months later and made it through screwing up the three-point turn, which I think that's called the same thing everywhere. It's where you get to the end of the kind of road and you back up and you pull back out. I'm really good at explaining this stuff, as you can probably tell. And so the cop said at that point, he said, just pull in and pull out. So I didn't know. Trick question, I had no idea. So obviously I had wonderful driving training. So I pull into this sort of fake cul-de-sac sort of thing, and I put the car in reverse and I pulled out. That was the wrong answer. So he said, you're kidding me, right? And I said, no, not, just, no. So, and I guess that embarrassed me so much that I went ahead and I sort of faked it. I did the three-point turn, well enough for him to pass me on it. So, I don't know, pulled that one out of my ass. And got all the way to the end, and of course, messed up the parallel parking, knocked into the the foam thing, the pole or whatever at the back, and sucked, and he said, go back to the beginning, and you failed, and blah, and here I am. I'm thinking I'm going to be walking and taking public transportation my entire life. Anyway, so I'm all nervous and I'm upset, and so I get back to the beginning, and my mother is waiting there on the curb, and I get out of the car, and all of a sudden I hear her start to scream, and you'll probably note that screaming is sort of a theme of me learning how to drive at this point. So I turn around, and my car is rolling. It's just rolling backwards, unmistakably, and my car is in reverse. And I don't know why, given I can't remember, I have no memory, given that I must have pulled into the curb, what I did, but apparently I got out, and genius that I am, I left the car in reverse. And so I sort of jump in the car, and the closest thing to a stunt move I have ever or will ever attain, most likely, and I knock the gear shift thing into park, and it was just bad. It was a dark moment, and get out of the car, and the cop's behind, kind of walking away, and he turns around, and he said, I do believe you were trying to kill me. Just totally straight face. And I was like, no, sir, just an idiot, not a murderer. Certainly not when police officers are involved. It was this little four-door red Cavalier. It was just a bad scene. So that was stressful, and we left, and I don't remember what ensued after that or how long it took, but my uncle, they called him the big guns, my uncle, who may well have more moving violations than anyone in my immediate or extended family, but nonetheless is a parallel parker, awesome parallel parker. And so he said, I'm going to take Laurie out, and I'm going to teach her how to parallel park. And so that was his sort of goal at the time. I don't know what else he had going on. Must not have been a whole lot, but he was brave, and so he took me out to a parking lot at a high school near our house, and he made me parallel park so many times. And so we did all afternoon, probably 100, maybe might have even been 2 afternoons. I mean, he was determined, and so I learned how to do it, and I went back and I took the test again, and I passed, and the car stayed in park and drive and reverse at appropriate times, and especially when I was out of it, and that was that, and I passed and I got my license, and you know, I am thankful to the great state of Maryland for permitting me to drive at that point after all that had happened. And I will have you know that I have never, in the ensuing decades now, unfortunately, had an accident that was my fault. So I think that's sort of telling, don't you? I think, just because it started out poorly, there was purpose behind it. I'm as a television character, or film character, sorry, once said, an excellent driver, I think. And I would like to thank my family and any police officer I almost killed in that endeavor for their patience in helping me to achieve that goal.